Hi.
Hello. Hi, guys. So nice to be with you guys again.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of When It's Enough with
Yesenia.
and Sarah Ali.
Sarita.
AKA Sarita, yes. So we're talking today about the need to please.
Wow.
We don't do that ever. Not at all.
No.
I don't please anybody.
This is
but
why
myself.
we give these talks, because we are perfect over here.
I have no problem. No. I don't people please at all.
No.
Yeah, the need to please. If you're joining us tonight, maybe it's because you saw this topic today and you were like, oof, ouch. It hits you in the gut, right? And it's like, that doesn't feel good.
Right? Especially in the gut.
Or maybe you're like, okay, I'm coming to accept this quality about myself. And how you are liberating yourself from it too, right?
Yeah.
We always come to the table where we are, where we're growing, right? We're not experts, not.
Nah. We can only talk from experiences.
Yeah, and we just share where we are in our journey, and perhaps it aligns with where you are or whatever we have to share. If anything, we'll just give you content that you can laugh at. You can laugh at us and not feel ridiculous in in yourself, right? Like, this is a shared crazy that happens for many of us.
And like we always say, we're not alone. We're making mistakes all the time.
Yes.
Well, not really mistakes, but lessons to be learned.
Lessons to be learned, yeah. Places to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Truths to recognize about ourselves, right? So I want to start off with this awesome book. The She book is it's a book with some pretty amazing, powerful little vignettes and poems that just amazing. Everybody that I have put in contact with this book loves this book a lot. It has a lot of really powerful words in it. And the first one I want to start with, and then I'll share another one later on, is number 19. It says, you should never have to beg someone to love you, force anyone to see you, or fight to make them stay. Not even blood, not even bone. People pleasing. Come on now. Let's talk about the root of it. The root of it comes from, the environments that we grew up in as children. That's where we start to learn this people-pleasing nature. It's the mechanism that we learned on how to get love and belonging from the people and places around us. And so I really love the power of that very simple message, especially when it says not even blood, not even bone. Because there's so many ways which the dynamic of people pleasing really comes up, especially in those core relationships in our lives.
Yeah, and like Sarita said, it starts when you're growing up, when you're a kid, you're being raised, and the fear of losing that person by saying no, that fear of not belonging, that fear of losing the importance that being, seen, that being, needed maybe in a way, that you're going to lose that person by saying no, which I know for me, which I'm still learning to say no. It came from my childhood, from just saying yes all the time and making sure that things were done the way they were supposed to. Just because I know that that will help the one person that I love, which is my mom, which is, my and then as growing up, it was hard for me to say no, because that's what I learned. It's like, if I say no, I will lose that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about the ways of which we were conditioned to make other people happy based upon what we could do, what we could provide, what we could be, what we could accomplish, achieve. And so, for me in my, my childhood, I was the single soul child. And I grew up with an absent father, in my house, and then with a mother who had a lot of needs and demands. And she made me the source of her emotional need as well as her outlet, right? For her own emotional outlet. So what that ended up creating was this mechanism for me, right? For as far as having to get love and belonging by taking care of things, trying to be as perfect as possible, trying to be seen as good, having to, what Brene Brown talks about, hustling for your worth. And when I say that, how many of you, when I say hustle for your worth, really understand what that means, right? Where you have to achieve or accomplish or do or please, and the people in your life in order to get their care, in order to be seen and recognized as valuable, important, worthwhile, worthy, right, of their time, care, commitment, all of that stuff. And that was never meant to be your reality. It's unfortunate, the reality that many of us had and many of us experienced and lived through because of our environments, but it's not at all what was in service of our true nature of who we are and how we really were meant to have that unconditional love, to have
a voice.
Yeah, a voice, to have belonging.
You have the voice to, say no.
Exactly.
But we don't know unless we practice it. We don't know unless we come to these experiences in life that really teaches us that we are losing ourselves in pleasing others, right? In feeling that resentment inside and growing that resentment because you could have said no, but you said yes. Right. And then when you do the things that you said already, okay, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll do that for you. And then while you're doing it, you feel mad, you feel annoyed, you feel frustrated, you feel all these emotions that are rising and coming up.
Yeah.
And that's where resentment comes. Why? Because you could have said no. But that's how we learn, right?
Yeah.
That's how we learn, by saying, yes, sure, I'll do it when I know I have this to do, but yet I said yes, right? And then you're like, okay, if I do this in 30 minutes, maybe I have 10 minutes to do what they told me to do. But what if I don't? Then you're frustrated.
Right.
No, it's about giving your voice. It's about, we talked in our previous talks, was about embodying your true self and building self-trust, right? That's what it is. It's about trusting the intuition, the inner self, that when somebody's asking you to do something and you know you can't, go ahead and say no.
Yeah.
Because the person that is meant to stay, they're going to understand.
Yeah.
And they're going to love you, understanding that you have a life too, that you have the power to say no, and you have the right to say no. So if they're meant to stay, they're going to stay.
Right.
And if they're not,
right. And to recognize that even if they can't, so often, come on, we're coming out of COVID right now and things are returning to normal, right? But I've had several conversations with people right now that are like, I really want and like having my alone time, or not having all these events on my calendar, or having to socialize all the time, or the invitations to things, or all of the busy making activities that we do, and so what's really interesting is that we can want so much to slow down and to say no to things, but there's this need to please of which you start signing up for or saying yes to the things that you don't really want to do, right? And it's like, how can you honor, right, your needs? How can you allow yourself to let others down, or just not even let others down, but like, can you remove the story that's going on in your mind about letting others down, right? And actually start showing up for yourself and not letting yourself down by actually communicating and taking the action that you need in order to honor yourself. So it's like that need to please part can have us saying yes to the things that we don't really want to do. And I've definitely been guilty for forever. I would like go to people's events and things, and because if I don't go and if I don't show up, what is that going to mean about me, or what are they going to think? Or oh, here we go. So weird. We dropped off. That's never happened before. Okay. Yes. So, instead it's like, can you clear up the story that says it's okay, right? It's not letting people down, right? To actually honor what your needs are. And that's really what's critical about the people pleasing nature is, to have an awareness of what the story is that you're telling yourself that has you believing this space of letting other people down for you to choose what it is that you really want to do and what it is and how it is that you want to show up, and to explore the root of that story, and what the mechanism is that is pointing the finger of blame towards yourself first and foremost, because that's the telltale sign, and the starting point of really clearing up that need to please.
Yeah, the story that we have created since we were little, right?
Yeah.
So the guilt, because it really comes with guilt when we say no. Mm-hmm. It comes with guilt, but guilt of what? I mean, who's pointing that finger to you? It's only you.
Yeah.
The guilt, the fear, right? And what are those emotions? Like we always say, sit with those emotions before you answer, and take a minute. Or if you're not sure to tell that person right there and then, just say, what, can I get back to you? I'll get back to you tomorrow, or give me an hour. I need to see my calendar, or whatever it is, right? To see how you're connecting with that question, how your body's feeling, in answering what they're trying to ask you at that moment.
Yeah.
And when we say, pleasing, people pleasing is not only, like we said, it's not only friends, relationships, romantic relationships, it's family, is anyone, right? Mm-hmm. Even at work with your boss, even especially at work with your boss, right? Because it's your boss. Like, you cannot say no to that person because, oh my God, you're gonna lose your job. But you know what? I've been learning, and oh my God, and the best way to come out of people pleasing is to practice.
Right.
Practice. Just practice by saying no. Just practice.
It's gonna feel so uncomfortable. If you are a bad people pleaser, you're gonna feel miserable for a little while, but just get used to it.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
Just get used to it, because then you're gonna feel liberated pretty soon.
But it's beautiful because that's how you know the real person that are really around you, that you have attracted in your circle.
Yeah.
That's how you really know the person that is gonna be saying, oh, okay, yeah, no, don't worry, I get it, it's okay, I'll find somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? Or it can be this person that are like, but why can you do it? Why? And all these questions and all this, and then your mind is constantly going and you're like, why should I give you an explanation of my no?
Right.
Why?
Right.
If I'm saying no,
Right.
it's obviously because I can't. And I'm honoring myself. I'm loving myself. I'm putting myself first. So no is no.
Yeah.
I'm not explaining.
Yeah.
I'm not explaining myself. Now, if you're having all those emotions that are growing in you, that is triggering you by me saying no, then maybe you should look at yourself, right? That person has to look at themselves. And it doesn't mean you help them look at themselves and tell them, you know what, if you're feeling that, that's your problem. Because we all have our journey, or we all have our path, right,
Yeah.
to walk. So it's really being in your power, honoring and loving yourself, really feeling the emotions when somebody's asking you for something,
Yeah.
and really connecting to your higher self and be like, sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
sorry. Obviously, you're going to say no in a kind way.
Yeah.
You're not going to be, rude either, because I don't believe in rudeness.
Yeah.
I believe in being kind and loving towards others.
Yeah.
Because the way you are towards others, that's what you're going to bring into your life, right? So that's what I've been practicing. And yes, sometimes it's easier than others, but I'm like, nope, just say no, say no, say no. And I'm like, yes, it's no. Oh, by the way, did you guys watch Luca?
All right.
Did
She
you
gave us
guys-
an assignment last week.
Yes. Did you guys watch the movie Luca? So if you guys
If you haven't
did,
watched
we
it.
say no, Bruno.
No, Bruno.
No.
Tell Bruno to sit down.
Yes. Yes. So talk to Bruno and be like,
Silencio,
no.
Bruno.
Silencio, Bruno.
You have to watch the movie if you have no idea what we're talking about. But it's like, putting to rest that voice in our head that creates those judgments, right? That we operate out of. So the qualities, right? Like you talked about, one of the biggest qualities of being a people pleaser is over explaining, right? And it's because you over explain. Hi, John. We're glad to have you join us. It's because you over explain that you feel exhausted and don't want to engage conflict by saying no, or because you're like, I'm going to have to explain what it is. And you haven't recognized, you don't own an explanation. It's okay. You can say no. Now, I'm going to put a premise to that, okay? I'm going to put a premise. If it's like you don't want to go to a party, or there's not something that you want to do, and it's like, hey, this doesn't work for me, you don't own an explanation for something that is like minor. It's not going to infringe on another person's life. It's not going to put people in situations that are painful or harmful, right? But you do need to offer an explanation if it is a very sensitive area, or if somebody really is truly relying on you to be there and you can't be there. Yes, okay, an explanation is important, right? Like, I don't want to sit here and somebody is listening to this right now and they're like, yeah, you don't owe them an explanation to walk away, or you don't have to, and you have an invested, committed relationship with someone, you kind of owe them a little bit of an explanation.
That's why we say kindness. Kindness. At the beginning, we said kindness.
Yes, exactly. But I digress. You don't have to explain though for minor things.
Yeah.
I swear, if you are, people pleasers are often have that high achievement, tasks, perfections, organized, order, to-do listed kind of things, because it's about achievement and it's about accomplishment, getting things done,
being noticed,
right? Being noticed, being seen, right? And then I'll be honest, right? If you won't, I'll be honest.
You better, because this is all about honesty. This is why we're on this channel.
Of how good it feels.
Hello, Christina.
Hi, Christina. Good to see you, love. On how it feels, right? When like you take care of things and you do things for people, right? Like there's that
ego.
It's your ego. You know, it's like you have to become aware of, am I doing this because it's who I am and I'm showing up in this like wholeheartedly without any expectations, without the need to please or receive some sort of affirmation or praise or accolade, right? Like, am I doing this because it's who I am?
Without expectations.
Right. Because if you're doing it as who you are, then whether you get praise or recognition for it or not, it doesn't matter. If you get it, awesome. If you don't, it doesn't hurt, right? But there's so many ways of which we can be operating in our lives where we are doing things in order to get a payoff out of it, right? Whether that's like a job well done or a pat on the back, or the ways that we do that in order to get love and belonging from the people around us,
and
right?
Especially that.
Huge.
Because this is what we all want, is love and belonging.
Love and belonging.
Being noticeable.
Yeah.
Being wanted, right? Not being rejected. Not feeling less than. Not
and rejection is like death. Like, I'm just gonna call it out. That's the reason why everybody is walking around avoiding being rejected, because it feels like you're gonna die. Like the air escapes and you just feel like this small, right? But that's because you're not aware of the vastness and the greatness of who you are.
Yeah.
Because you've put too much dependence in the authority of other people to tell you who you are, that has you doing things in order to please.
And that's when we become somebody else.
Right.
That's when we become somebody else. You know, we put that mask that, okay, this is who I have to be so that person can like me.
Exactly.
This is who I have to become so I can fit in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For what?
For what?
So you can feel miserable. You can feel worse. So you cannot be your truth self, your authentic self, which is something that we have talked about before. I mean, for what? Really? Because the only person that you are hurting is you, yourself, and you. Remember, there's 3 of you inside you.
There's more than that, but we don't want you to feel like you're crazy. It's fine. I'm covering the parts of myself, and it's, you know, it's fine.
It's beautiful. Excuse me.
Yeah, and it's that, you know, it's interesting. So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine.
That was one of your voices in your mind.
I mean, I do have conversations with those friends, but this is a friend that lives
so you
outside of myself. Can I get some hearts if you're like, best friends with yourself in your head?
You, Christina.
Christina's got 37. Woo! I might have you beat. I swear. There's probably like, I don't know, 100 in here. So it's that there's that, especially when it comes to relationships. So she made this comment of like showing up in relationship and like being like doing all the things, like being this great partner, and people fall in love with you for who you're not. And so then when you do start to show up as who you are, because you're like, oh, this is too much weight to carry, right? The other person feels betrayed, right? And she's like, I leave, and the other person feels betrayed. And that is a quality of people pleasing. When you're showing up in a relationship and you're doing all the things, you're like, this is how to show up in a relationship. Can you cut that crap out? Can you stop? Because it's not at all what it's supposed to be.
It's not healthy for you or for the other person.
Please show up authentically where you are and like be honest about where you are. Like, this is a thing that's really interesting. And if you look at relationship dynamics and attachment theory, which we'll save that for a whole other video, but you know, it's like how
another hour.
Oh my god, when we show up in a relationship, right, it's like you can, if you're a person who's more like introverted and you like your alone time and you want your freedom to do and be, and you don't want to have to like let people know what's going on in your life because you like to be secretive and private like that. That's something to explore. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there's a reason why, if you've been in the situation that you are attracted to a person who loves connection and wants intimacy and vulnerability and wants to spend time together and wants to explore and do things and wants to grow with one another, and right? And you're like, that is not me right now. Can you embrace that is not you right now?
Yeah.
And stop trying to be something that you're not for another person. And because so much of that is because you don't want to lose out on a relationship or on a person, but recognize that it's an incompatibility. Like, if the two of you are not compatible and you want two separate things,
that's like water and oil trying to mix it. There is no way.
If what you want is like genuine connection and belonging,
I want that.
Then that's your work, right? If you're like, I'm a hermit, but what I really want is to come out of my shell, but you're getting in a relationship with someone and you're trying to act like you're not a hermit, but that's where you've been. It's like, can you come in and be like, I'm a hermit. This is hard for me. I don't do this well. I'm going to need your help to pull me out. And then that requires you to allow the openness to vulnerability, right? To step forward in that way. But instead, we try to do all of this pleasing stuff, right? Because there's certain things that we want, but it's like, you might not be ready for that. Like, there's different steps and stages that we have to go through in order to get confident and comfortable with being ourselves.
Yeah, and get out of the comfort zone of, pleasing others.
Yeah.
Just like she said, not to have that conflict or that, the fear or whatever things that you feel inside you, because if you're not being true to yourself, then there is no way you're going to attract that to your circle, to yourself, to your you,
right?
Because you're going to lose yourself on trying to please others. And it's so tiring.
It's exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
As a recovering people pleaser, it is exhausting.
To keep that face, that person that you're not, just so the other person can be happy.
Yeah. And you know what's hilarious is that when you are completely unconscious to this people-pleasing nature, unconscious to it, people love the people pleaser.
Oh my god!
They do. They don't want to point out to you that you're a people pleaser. No. They just soak it all in. But then if you start to people please to other people, then it's a problem. Oh, you're giving too much. You overextend too much, right? But the minute that you're not doing it for them too, watch out, right? This is why allowing yourself the freedom to say no, to choose yourself, to, allow yourself to communicate what your wants and needs are, and allow yourself to see who's going to actually come in and support you, right?
Yeah.
So to learn that you have worth and value to other people, right? Those are the genuine relationships. Those are the people who genuinely care and love and support you for who you are. And it is like, would you say it's like, I would say it's kind of like Christmas Day, where it's like that excitement when you start to recognize the actual people in your life.
Like eating chocolate.
Okay, there we go. It's like eating chocolate cake. Let's go there. Let's go there. It's like eating the most delicious chocolate cake.
Yes.
Also, it's like eating carrol cake for those of you who know me and who know carrol cake. Oh my
God.
I make this amazing chocolate gluten-free pecan praline crunch.
How long has it been since I asked?
It's happening this weekend.
Just because it's my sister's birthday, she's gonna make it. Because I asked her. And guess what? I'm still waiting. But because it's my sister's birthday.
It's a labor of love making this cake, so it's worth it. But it's happening, okay? It's like eating your favorite chocolate cake, right?
See, my mouth is so watering.
When you start to recognize the people who really have your back, the people who you have real love and belonging with, the people who are vested in your you being happy and fulfilled, right?
Yeah, it's like going through your Facebook and seeing the people that you have, the list of people that you have
that are real.
And then you notice the people that you haven't talked for like I don't know how long, or they're not even present in your life, or they're not even, there to say like, hey, hi, or you, hi, hey, whatever it is.
Right.
But when I go through my list and I know who's toxic and who's not toxic, or who wants to be in my circle, accepting me for who I am and knowing my flaws, but yet they're like, you know what, you're a little crazy, but it's okay. I want to be in your circle. I love you as you are. And guess what? I love you as you are, because it's true.
Yeah.
It's really being your authentic self, no matter what the other person says, sees. If she likes you for who you are, fine, you're welcome. If they don't, fine, you can live.
Yes.
You can live. And I wish you the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because so often it's about making the decision to show up for yourself.
Show up.
So much of the people pleasing is about leaving yourself out, right? And making other people more important than you.
Yeah.
Right? Giving your authority over to them where they can devalue you. They create situations where you question yourself or you lose trust in yourself because you're trying to please them rather than allowing yourself to show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you don't say no, guess who's going to say no for you? Do you know?
We don't want any brick walls. You don't need a brick house to drop on top of you.
So your body will start, feeling every emotion, and it will turn into
resentment.
And resentment is what? It can cause you any sickness. It can cause you, I don't know, like hernias,
all sorts of physical manifestations,
because your
autoimmune issues, all sorts of stuff. For me, what happened was my lungs, I started to have problems with breathing and a lot of autoimmune issues. Like, this is what happens when you are overextending yourself and not showing up for yourself.
Yeah, I will have a lot of stomach issues. So if you don't say no, your body will say no for you.
Yes.
So if you want your body to say no, continue to please.
Right.
But if you want to be this
continue
healthy,
to leave yourself out, out of the circle.
Be loving, be healthy, be present for you, for yourself, and acknowledge anything that's coming up when anyone, when anybody's trying to approach you in a way, when anybody's trying to talk to you in a way or ask you things that you're like, no, that's not with my morals, or that's not with me, doesn't connect with me, it's not me. I can't. I just can't. Simply can't.
Yeah. Read this book in the leadership course that I'm in right now, and it's an awesome book called Trance of Scarcity, and she talks about what it is to be in the circle, and to be out of the circle. And to be in the circle is really about being in love and belonging. It's being in the flow. It's being in the state of creativity and authenticity and ease and peace and flow and happiness and joy, all those positive emotions and those feel good states, right? And when we're operating outside of the circle is when we're caught in this place of limitation that's fed by the scarcity story, what I call the not enough story, right? It's what we're carrying inside of us that makes other people's needs more important than our own. And what's fascinating, I found myself in a relationship with someone who was constantly asking me, like, do I do enough for you? And as a people pleaser, of course, what I would say is, no, of course, everything's great, right? Because the people-pleasing mechanism is about love and belonging. So you're like, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want to create conflict, or I don't want to create disappointment, or I don't want to engage things that are going to feel uncomfortable. And that's what comes from a people pleaser. But those dynamics create stifling experiences and relationships that do not serve you, right? And so what I found very interesting is then when starting to speak forward what wasn't present, well, the truth and the clarity of what was happening there really began to unfold. And so it's important to start to allow yourself to open up to the need to please, letting that go, because it really allows you to start growing, like removing those rose colored glasses and to start seeing with more clarity, right? To see the state of things and to stop abandoning yourself.
Yes.
Stop leaving yourself out of the circle, right? So you can start to create from the space that's actually going to serve you and that's actually going to give you the peace that you want. People say that what they're looking for is happiness. And that sounds nice, but that's just a high state of that's just an emotional state to be in. What people really want is a state of being that is about peace. That's really what people want.
Peace is happiness.
They say you want comfort. You don't want comfort,
No.
because comfort means stagnation and you're not going to grow. What people actually want is peace. They want to know that where they are and how they're operating in life serves them.
And yeah, and you know, like we always say, every relationship comes to yourself, to your life, to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And I know that the hardest part to say no is a romantic relationship.
So hard.
Can we be like, say amen over here? Somebody, anybody?
Or your parents. That's the second.
And your parents. Or your kids. You know?
Or your kids.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not a
so
parent.
hard to say no to them, you know? And it's really like honoring yourself and like with love again, and be like, okay, I do have to explain to my son why I say no, because I don't want him to, you know, think that I'm being selfish or whatever. But especially when they're little, because when they're little, they don't get it, right? They're like, no, buy me that toy, and starts throwing a tantrum. So you have to come from a place of being, okay, we need to teach each other what we're trying to learn about this situation, right? So it's putting yourself to that person and be like, okay, this is why, and why, right? And if a baby's throwing a tantrum, what I do is like, when you're done throwing your tantrum, I'll talk to you. And I'll wait. And then she's done throwing her tantrum, and then I explain, and she's like, okay. And then it's fine. Right? We can do that with kids.
Yes.
Now, if we're in a relationship, it's harder.
Yeah.
Because that fear of losing that person, right?
Yeah.
That fear of feeling that rejection again when you felt rejected or abandoned by your parent.
Yeah, so rooted to the abandonment story.
Yeah, by whoever you felt that you love the most, which I know our first love is our parents, right? So if we had that fear of losing their love, oh my God, it was so scary. It was so scary because those are the only people that we know, right? When we were little. So it's really connecting to that fear, to that feeling that you're feeling at that moment of like, oh, I'm scared to say no. Oh, I'm feeling this, or you know, this is triggering this.
Yeah.
When you're starting to feel that, give yourself that moment.
Yeah.
Give yourself that time that you need, right, to respond to that person and really reconnect to yourself and be like, okay, I remember this time when I was little and I did this. So this is connecting and triggering those emotions back from my subconscious mind, right? Which is bringing the past into the present. Okay, let me connect. How did I feel when I did this, and this for that person? Do I want to feel the same way now? Do I? No, because I'm losing myself again. I don't want to lose myself. I am not here to please anyone. I'm here to love me so others can love me.
Yeah, I had this. So my mentor, Taylor Moffat White, Taylor anyway, she talks about like the need to be devoted to yourself. The thing about people pleasing and the quickest way to start actually showing up for yourself and to 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 stop this mechanism, right, of people pleasing, is to actually come forward and to express your needs and your wants, right? To start to share where you're at, just like be vulnerable and real about what's happening, how you're feeling, and what your needs are, or what you would like to get out, like where you would like to meet in this situation, where the course of the outcome that you would like to have. But what I love about one of the things she says, which is that even if you say that, right, even if you share your truth and you share your needs with another person and they can't meet that, right? How we can allow ourselves to let go of the expectations and let go of our expectation, and just allow ourselves the permission, right, to be in our power and to communicate what it is that we need to communicate. And then if it's not well received on the other end, right, or we don't get the response back that holds that vulnerability, right, that helps add safety. Like perhaps you go to your partner and you're like, I'm feeling this way, and you're like raw and vulnerable, and they're like, I don't know how to help you. Right? Oh my God, it's maddening, right?
I'm cracking up because I remember the one time where I'm sending a long message, right, and explaining and saying and being vulnerable as you can be.
Yeah.
And what does the person answer? Okay.
It's like, right? But
right? You freaking narcissist person, you.
I mean,
well, that's another
time. That's another time. We'll talk about narcissistic relationships in the next fucking. Anyway, but regardless,
but
right?
God, right? So that's when you know, okay, that person has to go.
Yeah, right. But the thing is like, if they can't hold that space for you, the point is that you have your own back.
Yes.
That you take care of yourself.
Be ready for anything.
Just be ready. If they can't meet that, then have your own back.
Yeah.
Right? Be like, okay, great. They can't meet me here. So what do I need to do to meet myself?
Yes. What do I need right now to feel love?
Right.
What do I need right now to not feel
What
abandoned?
steps do I need to take for myself, right? So I can stay in my wholeness. And that oftentimes the outcome of that, right? Like you can work through things, but oftentimes it can be time to let go. Time to walk away, time to move on, right? Because it's about recognizing that you don't need to operate in your life to hustle for your value and worth.
No.
That you should be able to engage conversations with people, right? Not always, but for the most part, we should be able to dive into conversations with people where we can be open and honest where we are, as long as that, like, what it is to be honest is to be kind. Like honesty is not harsh and critical.
No.
Like that's a misconception, to be like, well, it's the hard truth. I mean, truth is actually very loving, right? And it might be hard to hear because of the expectations we hold on to, but it's actually in service for. So when that communication comes forward that's really rooted in honesty, it should have a level of care for all the parties involved in that conversation, right? And if you can't move through to a way that's actually going to like feed, right, and nourish and nurture you, because that's really what the mechanism of people pleasing is about, is the fact that we feel as though there's a not enough story that's going on, So it's time to clear that stuff out.
Clear the air for yourself.
Oh my gosh, give yourself some freedom.
Like breathe.
Take it off.
Breathe. Stop suffocating yourself with all these people that doesn't.
Hi, Auntie Phyllis.
Huh?
Sorry, my Auntie Phyllis just joined.
That don't belong in your circle.
Yeah.
Like, come on now, don't hold them.
Right.
Don't hold them. So let them go.
Yeah.
Just let them be.
Yeah.
Let them be, because When you clear the air around you is when you feel the more freedom for you yourself. And that's when the connection comes to you and your higher self.
Right.
It's when you're, like we said, practice the no. Practice the no.
Yes.
And it's the only way to become authentic for you.
And if you're the type of person who's always a no and you don't say yes, it's time for you to start practicing yes.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're always the person that says yes to everything and then you have resentment and bitterness because things don't turn out how you want, or you're exhausted or whatever because you're abandoning yourself in those moments and you're compromising yourselves in those moments, it's time for you to start practicing the word no.
This is why we say your body feels it first.
Yes.
You feel that resentment.
Especially right in your gut.
Your gut is what feels it the most.
Yes.
When you know that something is not supposed to be, don't go ahead and do it.
Exactly.
Just say no.
Yes. And it's about self-awareness.
Hi, Kate.
Thank you so much. We love you too.
Yes.
It's about, allowing yourself to honor you. Right.
And like, I don't know, because, COVID, oh my God, the hugs, right? That's the one thing that I miss the most, is hugging people and feeling that energy and that warmth and that, that being vulnerable and connection. I love that. I love connection so much.
Yeah.
So if somebody's not willing to connect, that's fine. Right?
And important to recognize.
Exactly.
Those heart walls are important to recognize. We're going to talk about getting into emotionally unavailable partnerships in another video. Stay tuned.
Emotionally available.
Yes, you are emotionally available people. Yeah. And the people pleaser, okay, has a tendency to be drawn towards people who are emotionally unavailable. Why? Because you're a people pleaser and it feels so good to please. Why? Because that has been the mechanism that has been there for a very long time, most likely since childhood. It's time for you to start to reflect, right? And that's okay, but it's about having grace for yourself and compassion for yourself and recognize and growing an awareness around it. Like, the biggest step you can take is just having an awareness and being like, okay, I have this people pleasing quality that comes up, right? And it doesn't always feel good. And I'm not going to judge or criticize myself for it. I'm going to embrace and recognize where I am right now. And I'm going to explore and get really curious as to why, right?
Yes.
Grow some curiosity, explore the root of it, right? To allow yourself the freedom to excavate that out of you, right? So that you can really show up for yourself and not abandon yourself anymore. And you can actually allow yourself to see things clearly. Hey, this person has a lot of heart walls and they're not really going to let me in. But what I want deeply is connection and intimacy. I am not going to hang out in this lane, right? I'm going to allow myself to be open and to keep my heart open and to have compassion and love for them. But I'm going to open myself up for more love, right? For more connection, for more, genuine vulnerability and intimacy and all those things that you really want. And so when you start to honor your needs, right, that is putting into practice self-love and self-care, to be honest, right? And that's when you really start to attract or bring in more abundance into your life, more opportunity, more belonging, more love,
better relationships, better friendships, better people, right? Better people. You start building your community, you start building your own tribe, you start building your own circle, however you want to call it, and you connect with, right? Because it's time to really see who belongs and who doesn't. Yes. It's really time to see how you're feeling, right? How your emotions are coming up when you're with this person, or how do you feel when that person is like constantly just asking and not giving, asking,
or taking. We should say taking, and not giving.
And it's draining. It's draining you.
Hi, Bria. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you for honoring your needs lately. That's exactly what we're all being called to
We
do
all
right
need to
now.
do that for ourselves.
And I really think that's part of like COVID's great lesson to the world is like it's time to start witnessing the vulnerabilities, right, in ourselves and in our communities and environments and the world around us, that we can actually start to like take care of our needs, right? And we can't show up for other people fully. Like if you're a people pleaser, that means that you have an abundant amount of love to give.
Yeah.
You have a very open, generous, caring heart. It is such a beautiful, loving quality that you have. Do not let that go for anything. It is magic, okay? I say that to you as much as I say that to myself. But
don't pour your love where it doesn't belong.
Right. Like it's time to start to fill your own cup so you're not running depleted, right? If you heard a conversation that I had with Reverend Michelle Scavetta, and we talked about trauma and the power and the wisdom in our trauma, she talked about your cup, right? If your cup needs to be an overflow, it needs to be an overflow, because when it's an overflow, you have a lot of love to give, and it doesn't diminish you. It doesn't take anything away from you. You're not left feeling resentful and bitter. You are like moving into that place of ease and peace and generosity.
Yeah, because when you love yourself so much, you're going to notice and acknowledge when something doesn't belong right here. So you're going to start noticing, you're going to be like, okay, this is not right. I can't do this. So this is a no for me.
Yeah.
You're going to start recognizing with more ease, right?
Yes. And from the get-go.
Yeah.
So you're not having to expend so much energy trying to clean up the mess because you committed to something that you really don't have the energy to commit from, right? Exactly. Start honoring yourself where you are from the get-go.
Yes.
Right. And if you really do, like, there's times where I'm like, I really want to do something for people, but I'm just like, I don't know if I have it in me. Just say, hey, right now it's a no. Right now it's a no, but I really do care about this and I would love to support you, or I would love to show up. So as we get closer, I'm going to let you know if I can do that thing. Is that okay? Is it okay? Up until what point do you need to know? Right now it's a no, because I can feel like this doesn't work for me. Right now it's not working for me. I don't have the time in my schedule, or I don't have whatever the capacity is. And you don't have to explain. You can just say right now it's a no. However, I do want to be there, and maybe later it will be a yes, and that's okay. It's okay to say no right now and maybe yes, right? So, but just honor where you are versus blowing through and like bulldozing through the resistance, because that's another quality state of people pleasing.
Yeah, because when you persist, or when you resist persists. So yeah. We have to be very aware, right, of our feelings. And like we always say, your body feels it. Yeah. It feels it from the beginning.
It really does.
It does. It really, really does. So it's honoring and loving yourself, being vulnerable and authentic for you yourself, right? And as the more you say no, the more easier it will become for you to really notice and the no's where they belong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this week we would like to challenge you, if you are a people pleaser, right? And to understand the driving mechanism, start to explore and get really curious. Like, why do I do this thing?
If you're doubting some people in your circle, start with them, conversations, being vulnerable, and see how they come. Right. They answer, how they're willing to connect with you, right? Right. Start by that. Right. And that's how you know who belongs and who doesn't. Right. So it's really a practice. Yes. Practice of love for yourself.
And allow yourself to say no, right? Like, I mean, yes, COVID, like, thank God, things are moving back into a place where we can connect and get together. Mm-hmm. But Lord have mercy, you do not need to start going to all of the things and expending all of your energy right now, right? Right. Like, learn how to give yourself the grace and compassion to be like, No, I really appreciate my time right now. And I'm going to say, I'm going to, be very intentional about where I put my energy and start allowing yourself to do so.
Right. Right.
Go gently. Yes.
Yes.
And
Step by
have
step.
your own back,
Mhm.
show up for yourself in a
And
way
don't
that's
have-
loving.
Try not to have expectations when you're talking to someone, because
Right.
then when you expect something and it doesn't come that way.
Right. And it's those expectations again that lead us towards people pleasing,
Yeah.
Really dismantling those expectations
Yeah.
is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us
Thank
tonight.
you.
And thanks for the comments. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the hearts. We love you all. Thank you for the DMs that I get from some of you and the messages that you guys share with us. We really love and appreciate you. And if there's anything you're ever like, okay, girls, I want you to talk about this, or I'm struggling with this, or you have a question or something that you want us to explore, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Hit us in our DMs, and then if you want to catch us on the replay, this episode will be available for the rest of the week here on Facebook. Then it won't be available here, but you can catch the replay on our YouTube channel, Meant for More. That's Moore on YouTube. And follow us, like, subscribe. Let us know if this content is connecting and resonating with you.
It's helpful.
Yes.
And don't trust Bruno.
Don't let go of Bruno.
Let go of Bruno.
If you haven't watched Luca yet, that's your other assignment. Please watch Luca and understand who Bruno is and how it needs to shut
up.
TF up.
Yes.
All right. We love you.
Thank you. Love you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.